Blessings on this sad and somber Sabbath day, for much is going on. As I'm sitting here listening to the music, worshiping Yahweh and Yeshua for all that they have done for us, it's still a sad note that human beings can be so cruel and mean to each other, taking the position of gods and dictating life and death sentences to innocent people flying on a plane, doing nothing, no harm to nobody, not even involved in the conflict that is raging below them on the ground. And without notice, without warning, in a blink of an eye, a missile rips through that plane and tearing it into thousands of little pieces scattered with the remains of once live human beings seconds before. Going on their journeys, a holiday, going to see a family member, just going on an innocent trip. Judgment was rendered to them in a split second, and they paid with their lives. For what reason? For what reason of taking so many innocent lives and shooting a plane down? What reason is it? Besides the evil that has incarnated itself in human hearts. Maybe they claim it as their God, you know. Maybe they claim it as protecting their nation. Maybe they claim it as, oh heck, I didn't have nothing to do today, so well, let's shoot a plane down. Who knows? But innocent lives were sacrificed at the whim of a man's hand. Whether it be Putin, the leader of Russia, or Ukraine doing it, but they're all guilty. Every one of them. Putin and the leaders of Ukraine are all guilty on this matter. Their blood of these innocent people that was sacrificed for whatever reason, their blood will be held accountable on Putin's and the leaders of Ukraine's hands. The blood lays upon them now. For no reason, no sensible, no godly reason can any of them give for the true reasons for shooting this airplane down with innocent people upon them. Their blood, as it fell through the air that night, fell upon the leader of Russia and the leaders of Ukraine. with Israel having to do what they're going to do, and people are crying about Gaza, so many dying, more dying in Gaza than in Israel. Well, for days, man in Gaza, men decided to do this by pouring and shooting so many rockets in Israel, knowing that they'd get her all stirred up after a while. The same would happen here in America if, like, say, Mexico was bombarding us with rockets. We would finally say, enough is enough, and we'd go down there, and there would be a war between us and Mexico. No brainer. So, as many rockets as Hamas was pouring into Israel, they knew that she would finally say, enough is enough. One rocket too many. And she took her choice and made a land invasion, and many are dying. But Hamas cannot blame Israel, because they brought every innocent life's blood upon their heads. When they said no to the peace treaty that Egypt was trying to broker and Israel was willing to accept, when they said no, they cursed their own selves, and the blood of the innocent will be upon them, people. So a war is coming, whether you want to believe it or not, overseas, in the Middle East, in the Ukraine, spreading up all over in the European nations. It will be one of the bloodiest, horrific wars ever fought, bar none. World War I and II were bloody. But what is about to begin is far more worse and bloodier than those two wars put together. It will hit the record books of the few record books that will be published back in the time to come. Because now all of them over there have nukes. And it will be a nuclear war, one that we've really never had. Oh yeah, back in the era in the 50s, Manhattan Project, and the bomb was created here in the United States. The one and only, well, there was two bombs dropped. The one that's talked about now is Hiroshima, but there was another bomb nuke dropped over in Japan, not talked too much about. But the only real nuclear bombs that was dropped by an airplane over a country was when we dropped them over Japan to end that war. We only see a glimpse of what happened to those people when those bombs was dropped. It was horrific. It was the Walking Dead over there. Hardly any skin on their bones. Blinded. And then just wandering the streets, wandering the countryside. Because the shock of that bomb when it hit and went off with the nuclear radiation tore through their flesh. Something that no human being up to that time had ever experienced or ever even dreamed about happening, but it happened. So we only see a glimpse of what happened in Japan when we dropped the nukes. But wait till the war of nuclear bombs going off everywhere in Europe. It will wipe out at least half of the population over in Europe, if not a little bit more. Oh yeah, it's happened before when the Black Death come and wiped out half of the population then, and they had to come back. In fact, when they had the big winter, little ice age wiped out first half of the population, and it was just coming back when the Black Plague hit and wiped out half the population. Well, they've had many years to recover over those two almost wiped out population type disasters. This time, every living thing over in Europe will be affected by this war. The air will be so full of radiation from nukes being dropped that everything, every human being, every animal, everything that walks and crawls in Europe, in the European nations, will be affected by what is coming soon. The foolish ones that decided to run from America and what's going to happen here and went over there, it's like they jumped out of the frying pan into the fire, because they will be burnt by the fire. We over here are going to have some judgments, but they're going to be strictly by God, and they're going to be horrific, like when the Yellowstone goes. It's going to be horrific, people. That's why God is preparing His people to cleanse their hearts and get ready now for what is about to happen. We are lining up to the world's worst disaster mankind has ever faced over in Europe. And we have such a weak president that he won't even speak up and at least warn Putin ahead of time what's coming. And stand as a leader. He slurks back in a corner like a little 2-year-old sucking his thumb and doing nothing in fear. I feel sorry for him. But as we all know, God designates leaders to be put into office at particular times for particular reasons. Why God chose for our leader at this time to be so childlike and immature, I'll never know. Or maybe He will choose to tell me someday. But we are nearing very closely to the end of our journey. We may have, 20 years at the most, covering the last 7 years. Or maybe we have 30 years at the most. But I do not look beyond 50 years. I do not feel and led by the Lord that we'll ever reach the 50th year from this year forward, because the things that's going to be happening. We're in a solemn Solemn, solemn time. Solemn time. Very sad time. And when our economy totally bellies up and we have no money, when the drought that is in California begins to heat up and grow and spread across the United States, because Texas has got a drought. We here in Arkansas had a little drought, not major drought, but a drought. But when all of this drought sweeps across, our economy falls, our land is dry and parched and no rain and cannot grow any crops, so the food is gone. We have no money, no food. As the water begins to dry up, we have no water to drink. Three main sources is the food will be gone, the water will be gone, and the money will be gone to help purchase what we need if there's anything to purchase. It's going to be a hard time here in America. As the wars rage and half the population of Europe dies, we will be in such pain, suffering from lack of water, food, and what the staples of life will be gone. And with the things in the signs in the sky and in the sun that's doing, if a sun would blast a radiation blast that come down and caused all the electricity to go off, we would be in not only no food, no water, and no light. We would be in darkness. I'm just warning you. I feel strongly led on this Sabbath day to give this message and warning. I lost my glasses. I can't find them anywhere. I just pray that God leads them to me, or I'd read you some scriptures. But you need to get in the Bible and read. Zechariah is a good book to read on the last days, leading up to the Battle of Armageddon. Because this all is a cluster that's pushing us to that one last battle, the Battle of Armageddon, when Yeshua HaMashiach comes back to earth again. Are we prepared to go through the fire? Are we prepared spiritually to go through the fire so that we would lose nothing? Righteousness can walk through the fire, but impurity cannot. What is impure will be burned up. What is righteous will not be touched, but it will grow, manifesting the true sons of God that's in Romans. And in the world, this earth, this ground that produces the fruit of the ground is yearning for that day of that manifestation of the sons of God to appear here on earth. Because with the appearance of the sons of God, there becomes a healing in the land, like Israel. Till Israel come back to Israel, the land was dead, dry, parched, and desolate, and of no good use. Minute that Israel began to come back to the land began to bloom and produced the fruit. Without the people, the land dies. Without the land, the people dies. we that are called and chosen and are soon to be manifested as his sons, we need to be prepared and prepare ourselves for that washing and the cleansing with the soap of Yeshua HaMashiach. It speaks of the soap that will wash us and cleanse us. And that soap is Yeshua HaMashiach, that it pronounced, the cleansing soap. You can go back in Malachi and read of this cleansing soap that would cleanse the people, cleanse his people also. The water is about to be poured out upon us once again, and the cleansing soap is about to be applied by the hand of the Son of God as it scrubs all the sin nature, all the lustfulness, all the stuff that's in our life that is not him will have to go. And he is the soap that cleans us. We need to stand together and for Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ. We need to stand strong as that army of God that has been left here upon earth for the last days to be manifested as his sons, to be able to stand in the battle that rages around us and do the marvelous things that was so prophesied in Matthew. It says, it was prophesied in the New Scriptures that we would even do greater things than Jesus did here on earth. Now, that prophecy has not been totally 100% fulfilled. That prophecy was for the last days and for the people that are chosen and called out. And this prophecy consists of great power beyond imagination that he's going to give us. But he's not going to give it just to anyone, because it's not to be used for any purpose for vindictiveness and in anger and in wrath. The power is to be used in love and the righteousness of Jesus Christ and his love, causing people to repent, but fighting demons without mercy and destroying them. There's two different things here. Because we will stand against the demons, the hierarchy, the prince of the power of this earth. We will stand against him. And we will be supplied weapons beyond our imagination, but we don't hold them in our hand like a gun. We speak them from our mouth with words that will visibly manifest itself and destroy the enemy, just like Elijah in the days of old. Just like when he sat on the mountain and they come to get him, and God spewed fire out upon them and burnt at least two of them, and the third that come to get him come very meek and mild and gentle and asking him to go, but not demanding him to go. We will have the power to fight the enemy and rescue the perishing. In Jude, it even says that we will have the power to yank them out of the fire. As they're going down, will be literally able to grab their hand and yank them from the fire of the pit of hell. Our battle will be a battle of righteousness and purity, not of anger, bitterness, and revenge upon people. This is not about revenge. This is about defeating Satan and his army. I will close this Sabbath day teaching, word from God, with a prayer. Father, in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, your awesome, wonderful Son who died for me and so many others out here, I praise your holy name. I praise that your name is Yahvh, that you are the Lord of Lords and the God of Gods, and there is none other but you. That our destiny here upon this earth right now is in your hand, and you're pouring it out and laying it out as we walk. Father, I glorify you, and I sacrifice myself to you to use in any way that you choose, for I belong to you. I belong to no other. I'm here to serve and do your bidding and be loyal to you in everything that you ask me to be. And though you have called me and chosen me, I know that I am not worthy of any of the callings or anything that you have done for me and through me through this life. I know that I'm unworthy. I am but a humble child, a handmaiden of yours. And sometimes I wonder why you would ever even choose me, the least of the least. But you did. And I will obey you no matter what. For your Son gave his life for me and was resurrected 3 days later so that I too could be resurrected in him and have eternal life. That still boggles my mind, Father. It still boggles my mind sometimes when I really deeply think about it. Why he would do that? Why would you do that? I know it's because of love, but how could you love human race that is the most unloveliest group in the whole universe, that you've laid down so much for us and we have done nothing for you? And I know there's nothing that we could do to ever pay back for what you've done for us, but yet we need to put ourselves in the position, and I do right now today, put myself in the position to do whatever you want me to do, when you want me to do it. I surrender myself to your desires. I surrender myself to your desires to do with whatever you want to do. And I know that when you ask me to do something that I feel is impossible, that you will give me the strength, you will give me the power, you will make a way that I can do it. Even though I can't do it humanly, but through your power I can do all things because of you and you alone. I just plead the blood over all the YouTube people that happens to be watching this video in these days of trouble and trials and testings. I plead your holy blood, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, upon them, and bring them into the place behind the veil, and let them see the true righteousness and holiness of the Father, who has created all things, and in us he has called us out to be his. As the world turns more and more against us, oh, Yeshua Jesus, please let us be like you were, so humble, so loving, but with so much authority. Even every word you spoke was amazing. Let your testimony pour from our lips, and your righteousness shine from our face. Glorify yourself within your body right now. Glorify yourself, and let your righteousness pour out, and let your will be done on this earth as it truly is in heaven. Let your will be done. I pray for everybody out there. Everybody. I pray that you keep your hand upon me and my family. I pray that you keep your hand upon Tina and her family. I pray that you keep your hand upon each one. And I don't know all their names. I couldn't even begin to name them off if I did. But every one of them, you know their names, and you know where they live, and you know their families. Pour out your Holy Spirit upon all of us, that we can stand where no other can stand. And in the days of evil, as it moves, that we can see it stand in the righteousness of you, in your righteousness, in your holiness. Father, in the name of your precious Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, pour it out today upon this your Sabbath day that you have led us for a day of rest. Pour out your holiness and your righteousness and your Spirit upon us now. In the truly name of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ. Amen and amen and amen. Be blessed. Be blessed and be safe under the arm of Yeshua HaMashiach.